Before we get started, you'll likely have noticed that this video has the Includes Paid Promotion label. I checked this box while uploading the video because I received my review code for this game for free. No money or other goods changed hands, of course, but I still thought it was best practice to disclose this info on my review. Alright, let's begin. First launched on PlayStation 4 in 2016 and unceremoniously taken offline by Sony just 6 months later, the original release of The Tomorrow Children was the definition of a blink-and-you-miss-it gaming phenomenon. Now, 7 years later, after Q Games successfully negotiated the transfer of the game's IP back from Sony last year, The Tomorrow Children has risen from the ashes in Phoenix Edition for PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5. The core gameplay remains the same in the 2022 release of the game. You play as a clone who has just been tasked with rebuilding humanity. No pressure then. To this end, you'll find yourself venturing out into the vast expanse known simply as the Void. While out in the Void, you'll find surreal islands rich with resources. Ferrying these resources back to the communal hub area will allow you to build new buildings and expand the town. While exploring islands, you'll also come across Matryoshka dolls, vessels said to contain the essence of fallen comrades. If you're able to bring these back to town safely, they can be hatched to increase the town's population. There's a wide selection of tools available to make traversing these sometimes treacherous islands a little easier. A standard pickaxe not only mines resources but also carves holes into the terrain. A shovel can be used to build an ascending or descending staircase, and a chainsaw can be used to cut down trees, to name but a few. Beyond this, there is also a handful of more mysterious tools that can reshape the landscape in profound ways. Resource management is essential in the game's main loop, with the town requiring more resources as it grows. Want to increase the population? Better build more houses. Town's expanding? You'll definitely need more electricity and more food. It sounds like a lot, but thankfully you're not alone. And it's in this key aspect that The Tomorrow Children really stands apart from other resource-gathering games. TTC has a very unique social element. Other players can join your town and help with tasks you'd otherwise have to do alone. Likewise, you can join other towns to assist them in their endeavour to improve and grow. Players won't be visible at all times though, instead fading in and out of your perception as they engage in tasks. An interesting design choice that suits the game's melancholic world very well. During my time with the game for this review, I exclusively had access to the PS4 version. While the game still looks stunning today, thanks to distinct art style and some exceptional pseudo-ray tracing wizardry, I did notice some instances of slowdown at specific moments, usually as a cleared island descends back into the void. One specific island, found early in the tutorial, seemed to turn the game into a slideshow whenever I was nearby, but occasions like this are rare. I did also experience a handful of crashes, but it should be noted that these issues were all encountered before the release of the Day 1 patch. There are elements to this game that, if they were presented in isolation, really don't sound all that fun. However, in the larger context of the game, these elements end up being extremely rewarding. For example, as default, you can only hold a very small number of resources in your satchel. But this is intentional, because it encourages you to share the task of returning resources to town with other players, with each of you taking on a different role in the operation. Another example is the bus that ferries you from town to faraway islands. This bus operates on a set schedule, so you often find yourself waiting around for its arrival. But I found myself enjoying this moment's rest and using it to plan my next steps. In my deep dive video released last year, I talked about the notion of designed tedium, something that I personally think this game nails. Not to get too heady about this, but when you really think about it, almost every game is just a set of repeatable tasks, but it's usually packaged in a way that obfuscates that fact. Here, the laborious nature of these tasks are brought to the front and center. There are a couple of significant changes between the original release and Phoenix Edition. One such change is the removal of the real-world currency shop. In the original free-to-play release of The Tomorrow Children, you could spend real-world currency, which would buy you access to better tools and literally bribe your way past certain tasks. If this element turned you away originally, you'll be glad to know that Q Games has stripped this out of the re-release. Additionally, player towns now operate on a peer-to-peer system. Great news in one sense, as it means the game's no longer always online or quite as at risk of shutdown, but, at least pre-release, I did notice a lack of continuity in the community effort to build up specific towns. The beautiful and somber world of The Tomorrow Children is as striking as ever, and it's a pleasure to run around the void listening to Joel Corralett's haunting soundtrack once again. As I write this, we're less than a day away from the full release, and I can't wait to see towns repopulate as everyone gets their hands on the game. I'd say, without a doubt, that this re-release is a must-buy for fans of the original. However, if it didn't win your heart the first time round, you're unlikely to find anything here that changes that. The Tomorrow Children is an acquired taste, for many reasons, but I honestly think that's exactly the reason so many people hold it so near and dear. The Tomorrow Children Phoenix Edition releases on PS4 and PS5 on the 6th of September. That's all for today. Bye-bye!